Hello, and thank you for joining the web series Getting to Know You, presented by the International Medical Informatics Association Student and Emerging Professional Special Interest Group. My name is Jiyeon Song, postdoctoral research fellow at Columbia University School of Nursing, located in New York City in the United States. I'm here with Dr. Bill Hersh. Thanks so much for joining us today, Dr. Hersh.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here.
So can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your research?
Sure. I am chair of the Department of Medical Informatics and Clinical Epidemiology in the School of Medicine at Oregon Health and Science University. I've worked in the biomedical informatics field for over 3 decades. I was originally trained in medicine and actually completed clinical training in internal medicine, and then did a postdoctoral fellowship in we called it medical informatics back then at Harvard University under the mentorship of Bob Greenis. And then I started my faculty career at OHSU in 1990, and I've been there ever since. We have developed a program, an academic department, a graduate educational program, and a large research program. My specific research interests are in the area of information retrieval, sometimes called search, where the goal is to help those searching for information find what they're looking for and information that they can use and act upon. That initial work started mostly with scientific literature, journal articles, abstracts, moved on to websites and things like that. And in recent times has changed its focus some to electronic health records, in particular, the use case of patient cohort discovery. So that's my main research interests. I have a number of other research interests as well, but the main one is information retrieval.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing your research. And how did you get involved with IMIA and the current working group you are affiliated with? And can you please describe what is your role with the group?
Sure. Well, I have been attending MedInfo meetings back to 1992 in my early faculty position. And I've been to just about every MedInfo meeting, including the one held recently virtually. And the last in-person one that was held in Lyon, France. I enjoy international collaborations, and so I've enjoyed my work with IMIA. My university is also an academic member of IMIA, so I also attend the General Assembly meetings. But my main role in IMIA now is with the International Academy of Health Sciences Informatics, which goes by the acronym IAHSI, sometimes pronounced IASI, also called the Academy. The Academy is an honorific group of accomplished, mostly academics in the field of biomedical and health informatics. Some who are in the United States might be familiar with the group ACME, the American College of Medical Informatics, which is IMIA's equivalent. And the Academy is much newer. It was formed in 2017. An initial group of fellows was elected. I was among those fellows, and then decided as the activity started to form that I would like to become more involved. So I ran for president of the Academy and was elected and started serving my term last year in 2020, and I'll continue through next year into 2022. I'm the second president. The first president of the Academy was Dr. Reinhold Hauks, who had a lot of vision and foresight for the Academy, and we are now carrying on his work. So the goal of the Academy is actually laid out in a vision paper in the IMIA Yearbook of Medical Informatics from 2020. And the first author of that paper, you can maybe provide the link to it, is Fernando Martin Sanchez. There are several others who are co-authors of that paper, and Professor Hauks is the senior author. That paper laid out a vision really a strategic plan for the Academy. And as president, I have chosen to follow through on that with modifications that have happened over time. Certainly when all that was done, this was before the era of COVID. But I think all of the strategic visions are still the same. It's basically to provide a group of senior leaders in the field who bring expertise to organizations, whether they're governmental or other organizations, to stimulate progress in the field and to serve as a source of knowledge. And we are carrying out activities aiming to achieve those strategic aims. Thank
you. And then what are the goals of your working group, and why is this International Academy of Health Science Informatics group is important?
Yeah, well, I think it's always important. Part of it is a recognition, international recognition of contributions to the field, leadership in the field. It gives those who have been working in the field a long time a forum to communicate with their colleagues and share their experience. I think another goal of the Academy is also to provide mentorship and to bring younger members, such as your emerging professionals group, into the field and share our experience, and also learn from the new perspectives that younger people bring.
So I really like join this group since it sounds very informative. So can you tell us more about the activity of the working group? Like what kind of the work the group is doing and what kind of activities planned? Sure.
So the initial plans was to establish what were originally called task forces that would focus on specific areas. And the two main task forces that were stood up initially were focused on standards and interoperability and on artificial intelligence. Those are still very important topics. Obviously, another thing has intervened in all of our work, which is, of course, the pandemic. But the pandemic actually makes those areas perhaps even more important. When I came on board, I actually thought that calling them task forces was kind of implied that they were self-limited. And so we changed the name to panels. And the term is deliberately a little bit vague, but it's just the idea that it's a way to bring groups of people together. I mean, we could have used a term like working group or something like that, but there's other parts of the organization that have working groups. So we've chosen to call them panels. So there have been two panels that have been working. Again, it's a relatively new organization, so we're just ramping up. And so probably the most active group has been the standards panel, and they have actually been started to produce what will hopefully be a series of podcasts. They've produced a couple of them. Diego Kaminker and Ed Hammond interviewing others who have been leaders in the standards area. And the artificial intelligence group is starting to organize and trying to bring together experts who not only can talk to the important advances in artificial intelligence, but how it's going to be used, how we will translate AI into the clinical world and other parts of health and biomedicine, and also dealing with some of the challenges, such as poor data sets, data that's biased, algorithms that are biased, how we integrate things into the clinical workflow and so forth. So I think you'll see these activities increase, and then they will result in things like the podcasts that we're producing, or perhaps we will put on meeting panels at meetings like MedInfo and other IMIA meetings, but both sharing the expertise and wisdom that exists in the Academy, but then also using that expertise and wisdom to find other experts who may not be members of the academy, but can educate us all in the entire IMIA organization. So perhaps the way that I describe my second term as president is moving from organization to action. Professor Hauks did a tremendous job in terms of getting the academy up and running and initiating some of these ideas, initially task forces, now panels. And I view it as my role to actually make these operational so that our group contributes to the field and we're not just a group of senior people who get together at meetings and have fun, which of course is part of what we do, but we want to contribute more to the field than just that.
It's so nice. And then how can someone get involved with this group?
Sure. Well, it is an honorific society, which means that you have to be nominated and then the fellows elect you. And that's true of most disciplines that have these sorts of honorific societies, like ACME, like all of the other healthcare professions and computing professions and so forth. And so if you are senior and accomplished enough, you would find someone to nominate you, and then there's a process by which candidates are vetted and then put up for election. Hopefully, though, we won't just be an insular group, but we will be a group that interacts with the rest of IMIA. So there will hopefully be ways that the Academy can collaborate with other groups, such as your emerging professionals group, and be part of the community. And so I don't want to make it sound like it's going to be a very exclusive group. We really do desire to be interactive and inclusive. So we will function in that manner.
And then finally, we have one more question. So what is one thing you wish you have done when you began your career?
What might I have done when I began my career? Boy, that's a hard question. I mean, actually, I could flip the question around a little bit. Sometimes people say, do you regret that you did anything and that you didn't do something? And really, for the most part, no. I mean, I can think of a few decisions I made, maybe to go after a certain grant proposal or to steer my graduate program that I lead at OHSU in a different direction. But for the most part, I like to think that I have no major regrets in my life, that I really chose a career that has been very stimulating, very rewarding. And now in a somewhat senior role, getting to interact with younger people coming up through the process. Certainly, I think our field needs to do a better job, like all fields, of being more diverse and inclusive. I think we're making some progress in that direction, and certainly, hoping that we can achieve a broader, representation. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what kind of comes to my mind.
Got it. So I've learned lots of things from this conversation, Dr. Hersh. So, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the student and emerging professional group for joining us and taking a time to reflect on this question.
Thank you. And I look forward to working with you all through IMIA and other venues.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.